The Republican-controlled Texas House gave preliminary approval to a very strict ban on so-called sanctuary cities yesterday, including a tough jail penalty. Now, the bill also allows Texas to withhold funding from county and local governments that are acting as sanctuary cities. And joining me in studio, the Texas Attorney General himself, Ken Paxton. Ken, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You in particular have taken a very strong stance on this. Is there a reason beyond just law and order? Is there something that makes you fight against this so much harder than anyone else on the state level?
I think it's because we've been dealing with this for so many years along the Texas border. We've had very little help from the federal government over the last 8 years particularly. And then we have within our own state somebody like Sally Hernandez of Travis County, Austin area, who's a sheriff who says when she is releasing prisoners that are illegal that she's not going to cooperate with the federal government. That creates some issues for our legislators, and I think it creates some interest in stopping that.
Well, let's talk about first the penalties, the new penalties that are in place. Can you describe them for us?
So now if a law enforcement officer or somebody that's an elected official doesn't get themselves involved in helping with these issues, they potentially could suffer being removed from office, and it potentially could be a misdemeanor. That was put in the Senate version first, and then in the House version yesterday, which they debated all day yesterday, that was an amendment, and it passed fairly overwhelmingly.
A county can elect a sheriff, and the state can remove the sheriff.
Well, through law enforcement. It would be probably a district attorney from that county who would have to do it.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Do you still expect some defiance, though? I would suspect some of these folks have, at least they've talked a pretty good game, and they've been, rattling their sabers that, hey, no matter what you do, no matter what the governor does, they're going to stick to their convictions.
Well, look, it remains to be seen, but I would not be surprised if there was a little less defiance, because I mean now you're talking about potential criminal penalties. Plus, you got to think about the impact. I live in Travis County, so what's the benefit to me as a Travis County citizen of a sheriff who won't turn people over to INS who have committed crimes? What's the benefit to the taxpayer? And say, why would you fight for that and potentially lose your funding?
So, here's the thing, though. You and I were talking during the break about one of the other issues here, and a lot of people wonder, because a lot of illegals wouldn't be here if they couldn't get employed. And so there's someone that's aiding and abetting them, and that's American businesses who aren't hiring Americans because they can get this cheap labor. You're saying there's nothing your office can do about that part of this equation? Yeah,
so any kind of criminal penalties we don't deal with in my office, and we would have to have a specific statutory authority. So as it relates to businesses right now, there's really no legislation being proposed to deal with that issue.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to ask you about, real quick, there's a poll, and I thought it was interesting. A majority oppose sanctuary cities, but what I thought was interesting, with building the wall against the border, 61% in this particular poll in your state opposed the idea of building a wall. What's that all about?
It's an interesting poll. I obviously don't know what the metrics of that are, but it is a place that
it could have been dinner time with one Democratic family in Austin, right? But
I have no idea. But what I will say is Donald Trump ran on that issue. Texans voted for him, I think, based largely on some of his immigration policies. So I don't know how that plays into it, but I can tell you just anecdotally, I would argue that as I've traveled the state, and I travel the state a lot, that people want something done, whether it's a combination of a wall, technology, border agents, whatever it is. We in Texas, we want something done.
Ken, before I let you go, you just brought up President Trump. How's he doing? Has he had a positive impact already on this illegal immigration issue?
I think tremendous. If you look at the numbers that they're talking about, illegal immigration down 40% in March, maybe the lowest numbers we've ever had. The whole attitude's changed. I've talked to border agents along the border who are leaders, and they're excited that they have a president who's allowing them to do their job, and they feel like they've been held back for 8 years. So for us, it's exciting just to have a president who's willing to do something about this.
Attorney General Ken Paxton, I got to tell you, a lot of people salute you because you are leading the way on a very critical issue. Thanks for coming in the studio.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Same here.